Yes, I'm ready. Go ahead.
Okay, so this is my investment portfolio analysis. My name is Kaival Shah, and I'll be talking about what I did in the NGN stock market game. So my overall rankings were at the end of the competition is 11 out of 204 for region, and then for coordinator and state, I got 22 out of 508 and 77 out of 2,126. And my overall gains were 31%, 31.36%. And I'll be talking about like the ETFs, the stocks, and the mutual funds I invested in, starting off with my ETFs. So this is basically every position I invested into. Everything I invested into was long term and stable growth, and I'll be talking about more about that later. But this is basically everything I invested into. And I'll split it up to ETF, stocks, and mutual funds. Okay, so starting off with my ETFs. I invested into QQQ, XLK, and SPY. I chose QQQ because I wanted to maintain a very stable investment that would grow slowly. I chose QQQ specifically because it tracks the market since it's passively managed. It's a passively managed ETF. Now, since the market is recovering from COVID-19, this is a great investment that had a low risk approach since it was just tracking the market as it recovered from COVID-19. My overall gains for QQQ were 14.32%. Moving on to XLK. I invested into XOK, which is a tech sector ETF. I invested into this because many tech companies were benefiting far more than ever before due to COVID-19 because the shift to like the digital world. XOK is a perfect when it comes to slow growth and low risk and low risk based on like historical data from the past. And I invested in this, and it was one of the three actively managed ETFs out of the three ETFs I invested into. And actively managed basically means like there's like a manager actively managing it and trying to outperform the market. And so I wanted to invest in two stable ETFs, so SPY and QQQ. I'll get into SPY later, and one actively managed ETF to maintain stable growth. So moving on to SPY. And lastly, SPY was a great choice to once again track the S&P 500, which was slowly recovering from COVID-19. Because of this, I've seen positive growth from SPY. And overall, all of my ETFs, I've seen like around stable growth, 12%, 12%, another 14% from QQQ. So now moving on to the stocks I invested in, which consisted of my most of my portfolio. So the stocks I invested in were Cisco, Tesla, Apple, and then Agilent Technologies, Visa, and Abbott Laboratories. So the stock I invested in that had the most gains was Tesla, and then it goes down from there. So Agilent Technologies, Apple, Cisco, and then I invested in Apple twice and Cisco twice once I started to see maintaining long growth, and then Abbott and Visa. So now I'm going to talk about like why I invested in each stock and my reasoning behind it. So starting off with Cisco, I invested all of my stocks, as I mentioned before. I never sold any of them. They're all meant for long term. For Cisco, I tried to maintain some technical analysis and fundamental analysis. So starting off with fundamental analysis. Because of the emerging demand for cloud computing services, Cisco has jumped along the ride. Out of Cisco's 10 significant competitors, it has still been the top enterprise IT infrastructure vendor. In fact, Cisco enjoys a reputation as one of the top companies in the world because of its dedication to customers. And since its beginning as a small startup in 1984, Cisco has grown to be recognized as a worldwide leader in networking. Since networking is always going to be a prominent backbone of internet connectivity, Cisco is greatly benefiting from this. Cisco has also made several acquisitions that have helped them fill up gaps in their company and outperform competitors. In fact, their acquisition strategy and way to approach acquisitions has significantly set Cisco aside from its competitors. Now, as the COVID-19 challenges many of us, people relied on software networking technologies and the internet to do a variety of things. And this has contributed to a lot of the software companies' growth, as you'll see later in my portfolio. And for all these reasons, Cisco has been proven to be a very established market leader. It has shown stable growth, and this is why I bought Cisco. And then lastly, it also has some environmental friendly aspects to it. Like Cisco, for example, Cisco US facilities run on 100% renewable electricity, which shows that they're trying to be as environmental friendly as possible. And now onto some technical analysis. So this is just some simple technical analysis that I read some books on before. And basically how this works is that this is called a double bottom. And so when there's a double bottom established, right, Double bottoms can form within like weeks, months, or longer than a year, and the rise in price is usually large no matter how long between the two bottoms. The time to buy is after an uptrend has been established and confirmed from the second bottom. And as you can see, around $39 is when I bought Cisco, and this is like this is an example of a double bottom, and this is when the uptrend has been established, which is right here. This image is from a different source, and I'm comparing this image to like the actual Cisco graph. So that's an double bottom right there. And then now moving on to Visa. So for Visa, my analysis on this is basically as follows. Visa has shown very stable growth because of a few important reasons that I considered. Firstly, given COVID-19, people are doing a lot of transactions online, and since Visa has 60% of the credit and debit card market, it has benefited significantly compared to its competitor like MasterCard, who only has 30%, and American Express, who has like 7.5% or 8.5%. This shows us that Visa would have benefited far more than MasterCard and American Express. And along with this, because of all my investments were long-term, including Visa, I also consider the fact that when two main world leaders like India and China start doing more transactions online, Visa will be benefiting far more than MasterCard and other companies because they have 60% of the credit and debit card market. And in addition to this, this is also one of my environmental friendly stocks because Visa is expanding its efforts to inspire and empower sustainable living through working with transit agencies and the sustainable travel industry. This is how Visa is pursuing environmental friendly ethics. And as you can see, I had 4% growth from this. This was again one of my long-term stocks, as everything was long-term, and it was also environmental friendly. And this is just a graph of the Visa stock over the past 5 years. Now moving on to Tesla. This is where like over my most portfolio gain was from Tesla. As you can see, I had 101%, 101.39% of portfolio gain, and I invested in this twice because yeah, I invested in this twice, as you can see from this chart. And basically, my fundamental analysis of Tesla is as follows. Moving on to Tesla, this is a short. This stock by far has led to the most profits of my entire portfolio. Not only are they a car company, but they're also considered a tech company. Tesla's unique value proposition makes it the only company that has the proper management and sophisticated financial standpoint to make electric, self-driving cars. There have been many companies that have tried what Tesla has achieved. For example, Fisker Automotive went bankrupt because they could not deal with the financial struggles as well as Tesla could. And this shows us that Tesla has proper management to achieve something that many of their other possible competitors can't. And this also shows us that it's very hard for competitors to catch up to Tesla's where they are right now. In addition to this, as people start to notice the harmful effects of gasoline-based cars, Tesla will greatly benefit by selling tons of cars. In fact, as the years progress, they have been selling more and more cars, which is a direct correlation to keeping the environment safe. The cost advantage of recharging over gasoline is significant, and gas will probably never be able to catch up, which is another incentive for people to adopt Tesla cars. The fact that Tesla was able to achieve great heights, leaving its competitors behind, and its great potential for long-term growth through helping the environment along with cost-effective driving expenses makes Tesla one of the best performing stocks in my portfolio. And now the environmental aspect. Just in 2019 alone, of people driving Tesla cars has resulted in total savings around 4 million metric tons of CO2. That by itself is a very impactful way to be environmental friendly, and they still continue to pursue environmental friendly goals. And then as you can see, as I mentioned before, the Tesla profits were like a majority of my entire portfolio. Now moving on to Agilent Technologies. Agilent is an analytical laboratory instrument manufacturing company that provides its products and services in six markets: food, environmental and forensics, pharmaceuticals, diagnostics, chemical and energy, and research. Agilent Technologies has grown its company from the ground up through acquisitions that have helped it enter into many different markets, including the recent acquisition in the emerging cell analysis field. It is because of the several product lines in many different subsectors that make Agilent Technologies far more diversified than its competitors. Agilent Technologies has also had tremendous management team, constantly looking for things to improve and solidify. This is something that not all companies can achieve, especially in the markets they're selling to. The company has shown its stability from the gradual increase in gross profits, and although this company has not outperformed the market, it is a very stable company that has grown over the past 4 years. There are not a lot of risks to come with this stock, and this helps stabilize my portfolio to a relatively low risk, high returns. And as you can see, these are some profits I had from Agilent Technologies and 27.03%. Yeah, so now moving on to mutual funds. The mutual funds I invested into, wait, I think, yeah, sorry. The mutual funds I invested into were FConX and VIPX. So this is my this is my only investment that actually lost money, and it was by 4.41%. And this fund has had overall stable growth and well-performing historical data to back its growth up that I decided to invest in it, as you can see from its returns over here. And although I lost money from this investment, I learned from my mistakes and figured out that there was not enough time for this investment to grow, since it's a very low, very low growth and very stable growth. There's not enough time in this competition for it to grow enough. But I'm sure that if I held this for a little longer, like my other investments, that this would have enough time to grow. And then moving on to VIPX, which is my other mutual fund, I did invest into VIPX, which did perform well with a return about 11.57%. I invested into this mutual fund because it focuses on undervalued large cap stocks, which minimize my risk. I also invested in it because of the positive historical data that I had to back up with it, as you can see from its returns in past historical data. And then my summary of my entire portfolio investment. So overall, I had 31.36% growth. This is more, as you can see, than the growth of the S&P 500. So I beat the market. The market growth was 14.8%. And as you can see, this is the reason behind my I can achieve a further investment. So some reasons I'm fit for investing another 100K would be I diversified my investments. I had low risk, high returns, and all my investments are long term and stable, right? I didn't try to sell I didn't try to sell quickly and try to make quick profits. Rather, I focused on the long term growths, which eventually helped my portfolio much more than the short term growths. And the experience and learning lessons I learned from this competition that I can implement later in the next competitions. And overall, the stocks I invested in were Apple, Abbott Laboratories, and then Agilent Technologies, Tesla, and Visa, and then Cisco, and then I had ETFs and then mutual funds. So these are the reasons why my portfolio investment, this is how I built my portfolio, and this is how I led it to what it's right now.
Okay, good, excellent, very nice, Kaival. How would you put next $100,000, and where would you put?
Yeah, so it actually depends on the time frame, but just based on what we are facing right now, because of the COVID pandemic, because of that, I invested specifically allocating based on the COVID pandemic. And so what comes next, if I were to get another 100K, I would keep some for reserves just in case. Then I would try to go like this competition. I wouldn't go full out. I would try to go in safe investments, for example, like ETFs and then mutual funds. And then for stocks, I wouldn't invest all my money in one stock. I would try to diversify, just like this competition. And then some things I learned from this, don't invest in something that you don't know all about. Try to know what you're investing into. And also I want to try to match up fundamental analysis with technical analysis. For example, Cisco, how I used technical and fundamental analysis to make a decision, which eventually was correct. And so I can implement that more with the next 100K I get.
Okay. No, it's very good. I mean, I'm the only comment I have is that the environmental, corporate responsibility, corporate social responsibility, environmental friendly company, how Visa and Cisco fit into it.
Yeah, so I can actually read what I said. So for Cisco, I said that their facilities run on 100% renewable energy, and then they're also trying to create different what's it called? They're trying to create different demos and things like that to try to boost environmental friendly efforts, right? So like for example, Cisco, they have their US facilities run on 100% renewable electricity. And then for example, for Visa, like you mentioned, Visa is expanding efforts to inspire and empower sustainable living through working with transit agencies and sustainable travel industries. So they're working with these different industries, just like Cisco is, and to since they can't directly implement it, like kind of like Tesla, how they can directly influence environmental goals because they're like reducing CO2 carbon emissions and things like that. Visa can't directly do it, so they're teaming up with other companies to try to make that effort.
Okay, you are from which school?
I'm from the Quarry Lane School in Dublin, California.
Okay. No, I think Kaival, overall, your presentation, your research, the in-depth knowledge you gain, it's amazing. Very, very nice presentation. You have any question for me?
No, I don't have any questions.
All right. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you. You too.